Hi everyone, my name is Kartik and my channel is about mental models. In my 8th video of this Systems Thinking mini-series, I will be talking about equilibrium. We've been exploring systems thinking over the past few weeks and videos, and whilst pathways, stock and flow, pinch points and feedback loops are, in my opinion, the 4 core models which help us map out a system, I wanted to include equilibrium as part of this mini-series because it's an important mental model too. Its importance isn't because it helps us to map out a system, but because systems self-regulate to maintain a state of equilibrium. The iceberg and solution mental models are also equally important in their own right. I've read and seen a few things on systems thinking, but generally found that equilibrium is not mentioned, which I think is a shame. So what is equilibrium? I like to think of equilibrium within systems thinking as the steady state of a system. And also, what will the system do to let it reach or return to some natural settling point. Let's take body temperature as an example. If you feel hot, your body will sweat to cool down its body temperature. This is an example of the human body system self-regulating to maintain an equilibrium. Similarly, if you are feeling cold, your body will shiver to generate heat and raise its body temperature, again to maintain equilibrium. And the equilibrium here is of the body temperature. What I'm describing is in fact Le Chatelier's principle in a nutshell, which in simple terms states that if a system which is at equilibrium is disturbed by a change of some kind, the position of the system shifts to act against that change to re-establish the equilibrium. And systems definitely do this. They self-regulate to maintain a state of equilibrium. Now, I've given the example about body temperature, but let's also look at another example which may, on the face of it, seem not applicable, but it is, and it is also where this mental model applies. Let's say I'm doing some parkour and running on a wall. Let me just add, this is quite a dangerous sport or exercise and it can cause injury, so please don't try this at home. So I know it's hard to believe, but let's say hypothetically I am doing some parkour and I am running on a wall, and the wall is flat. The wall is flat and I am running comfortably. I am at equilibrium, even though it doesn't look like it, because I'm able to maintain a steady speed and I'm running comfortably. I am at equilibrium. Now, as I'm running, I start to lose my balance and I feel the sensation of starting to fall. I am now in disequilibrium. So what I try and do is counteract this imbalance by taking some form of action, such as trying to lean in the opposite direction to the one that I'm falling in order to try and return to equilibrium. Now, so that's one thing. Now let's say the wall becomes uneven. Something like that. The wall becomes uneven and the weather becomes windy. Both of these conditions are forcing my system to go off balance, and so I'm constantly making adjustments, such as with my balance, how I'm leaning, my running speed, how I'm placing my feet on an uneven wall, all with the purpose of trying to not fall off the wall. In other words, I am self-regulating to maintain the equilibrium state in a changing environment. And in reality, that is what systems are doing most of the time. They are making adjustments to keep their steady state. I wanted to use this example as this is quite an easy system to visualize and understand what's happening. There are obviously many other examples that one can give. So let's say this example is wall. But this is a very easy one to visualize, and that's why I've chosen to use this. Understanding equilibrium and the nature of a system to achieve or return to a steady state is important. But what is also important is to understand that equilibrium is not only a point, but a range. Take my running example. I can lean in both directions up to a point, after which if I lean more, I will become imbalanced. And the more I lean in either direction, the more imbalanced I will be. And in this situation, I will be in disequilibrium. It's not that if I lean even a minute amount, I will fall. There are cases where that could happen. But let's say for the sake of this example, there is a degree of leaning I can do before I feel imbalanced, which is sort of here. And this degree of leaning is the range of equilibrium. I'm just going to call it range. But that's the range of equilibrium. And as long as I can keep within this range, I can maintain my comfortable running speed and just being able to run comfortably, irrespective of speed. I can maintain my equilibrium. Outside of this range, I will be imbalanced. And if I keep on leaning further, then I will fall, which means the system will fail. So if I keep on going further, then I'm going to get to this point, which means I fall. Ultimately, it is important to understand the limits of the range here. That is the limits of the range of equilibrium, because it is within this range that the system can work efficiently and to its optimum. Outside of this range, the system will try and correct itself to return to equilibrium, but if it goes too far, then it won't be able to correct, and the system will fail or break down. So knowing the limit is the key, and that's what is really important about this mental model and why we should know this mental model in the context of systems thinking, because all systems have a limit and all systems have a range in which they can work really well. It doesn't have to be the perfect condition. It can be slightly, there can be slight imperfections, but it can still work at its optimum. And so that's equilibrium within a nutshell. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. I will in a future video separate to this mini-series talk about how to assess the equilibrium of an organisational system. So do watch out for that video in the future. But whilst you're here, why not watch these videos that are flashing up on screen from earlier in the Systems Thinking mini-series. I've already got them on YouTube, so have a look at them. And I will see you in the next video with the final instalment of this Systems Thinking mini-series. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.